PDAC 2026, it's day number 3, and we want to now talk about gold in West Africa. And we are here at the booth of Newcore Gold, and with me is President and CEO Luke Alexander. Luke, great to have you here.
Yeah, great to have you. Welcome to Canada.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. How's the show so far?
Yeah, the show's been great. I mean, similar to a number of the shows that we've done so far to kick off 2026, it's much busier than we've seen in previous years. And I think that's what you'd expect with commodity prices hitting all-time highs and specifically gold price hitting all-time highs. So the mood has been really good. We've been meeting with a lot of investors, investment banks, other corporates, and the mood has been great across the board. So it's nice to see that that everyone's so bullish on the sector at the moment.
Yeah, it's quite busy here. So when we had our last interview 4 weeks ago, we spoke a little bit about your Enchi Gold project in Ghana. Could you just, for the viewers who are not so familiar with it, could you just give a brief introduction, please?
Yeah, so Newcore Gold, we're listed on the TSX. We also trade in Frankfurt as well as on the OTCQX in the US. Our Enchi project is a district scale exploration project that's fundamentally underpinned by very robust economics that we put out in a 2024 PEA, which we're now advancing from PEA to PFS, which we'll have out in June of this year. We see that as a major catalyst for the company, but importantly, we're also in the midst of a 45,000 meter drill program. So we're aggressively drilling on the project, making new discoveries. So we will be putting out a lot of drill results as well. So when we talk about district scale exploration, that 45,000 meters is to unlock some of the value of that. But then beyond that, we're obviously de-risking it to a PFS.
What is the resource base so far?
The resource base today, we sit at about 740,000 ounces of indicated, as well as an additional 970,000 ounces of inferred resource. As part of the first 30,000 meters of drilling, we focused a lot on moving ounces from the inferred to the indicated category. So tightening up the drill spacing, de-risking those ounces, which is one of the key things for a PFS. With this additional 15,000 meters of drilling and the results that we've put out so far in 2026, we're back to focusing on some very high grade targets that we've identified across the project. And that's something that we're excited about and will continue to get results out over the next few months.
Okay. So I believe there's a running mine nearby. So you lie on the same trend like this mine?
Correct. So if you look at Ghana, it is Africa's largest gold producer. It's the 6th largest gold producer globally. So it's got a rich history of gold mining. We sit on one of 2 prolific gold belts that runs through the country, the TSXV belt. If you look at the belt directly to the north of us, the closest neighbor in country is the Chirano mine. That's owned by Asante. To the north of that, the Bibiani mine. Those sit at 5.5 and 6.5 million ounce historical endowments. And then to the north of that, we've got Newmont's Ahafo mine. They've just put an additional $1 billion into that project. It sits at 20 million ounces and growing. So we've got a lot of very large deposits and producing mines along the TSXV belt from us. And then directly on the other side of the border from us, you've got Australian listed Taraco, who's got the Afema project, which sits at 4.1 million ounces and growing. So again, when we talk about district scale, we obviously talk about the number of targets that we've got across our project, the limited amount of drilling we've done, the results we've had, but then we also point to the very large deposits and active mines along the belt from us.
Okay, we already spoke about your 45,000 meter drill program. You recently reported some high-grade results. What numbers do we speak about here?
Yeah, so if we look at the results we've put out so far in 2026, we put some results out the 1st and 2nd week of January. Those were focusing on some of these high-grade chutes that we've identified across our project. And these structures look very similar to a number of those mines that I just talked about in terms of high-grade plunging chutes. So with the diamond drill rig, we've been targeting some of those. Some of the highlight results, we hit 175 grams over a meter, 146 grams over a meter, 3.5 grams over 23 meters, 3.2 grams over 23 meters. Within that, an additional 7 grams over 8 meters. So those are the kind of high grade results that we're ultimately looking for with the current drill program to continue to prove out our geological understanding of the project. Is that as we find these high grade shoots on our project, there's an opportunity to add meaningful ounces. Interestingly, one of our analysts who covers us from a research perspective put out a note looking at the Chirano mine, which is the one directly to the north of us. And from when they put out their initial reserves about 20 years ago, that deposit has grown by about 6.5 times. And the bulk of that has been from these high grade feeder zones. For us, as we continue to prove out this high grade material across our project, we will then be able to put that directly into the mine plan, which we're putting into a PFS now, which will then advance to a feasibility study and ultimately into production.
Drilling is expensive. What's money in the bank? I saw that you got a nice amount of money out of the warrants.
Yeah, correct. So we had warrants that expired on February 27th. So we announced on March 2nd, Monday, March 2nd, that we've received $10.3 million from those warrants being exercised. So all of that money came in. That obviously topped up our treasury. What that will allow us to do is to potentially expand our drill program well beyond the 45,000 meters. So we're currently fully funded for the 45,000 meters as well as the PFS. But with that additional capital, we'll be able to grow the overall size of the drill program, as well as we'll start to look at some of the long lead items that are going to be required for the feasibility study. And we'll be able to start to get some of that work done with the additional capital that came in. One thing I think is important to highlight is if you look at the trading volume that we've had in the stock since around the middle of December, and in January specifically, we had about 1.1 to 1.2 million shares of average daily volume. That's almost twice as much volume as we saw in 2025. So there was a definite overhang on the stock because of those warrants that were out there, people needing to sell to exercise the warrants. We think now that that has been removed, the cash is in the bank, we see a technical opportunity for the stock to significantly re-rate. And on the day that we did announce those warrants expiring, we saw big volume in the stock up 8 or 9%. So that overhang that's been sitting there has now been removed, and we're excited to see the stock potentially move meaningfully higher.
How does the share structure look like? So are there any major shareholders in your company involved?
Yeah, so I think it's important to highlight that management and board were truly aligned with shareholders. So we own about 13% of Newcore today. That's money that we've invested alongside shareholders over the last number of years, participating in all of the financings that that the company's been involved in. We then have 55% institutional ownership. These are deep-pocketed, long-term focused mining and resource investors who recognize the district-scale exploration upside of our project, but obviously also then recognize the fundamental re-rate that can come with a PFS and driving the project to production. So 13% management and board, 55% institutionally owned, and the rest would be primarily held by retail investors.
Okay, then let's come to the location. So you are in Ghana, which is one of the best jurisdictions in whole Africa. What are the advantages to explore or develop in Ghana, and how's the support?
Yeah, so if you look at Ghana, it is Africa's largest gold producer, produces over 5 million ounces per year. It's the 6th largest gold producer globally, just behind Canada and the US. So it is a very large gold mining producing country. And it's also a relatively small country. So you have all of that concentration of gold production within a relatively small landmass. For us, some of the real advantages are you've got a lot of mining services companies in country, so very experienced groups who can obviously then help us move our project forward and ultimately put it into production. We've then also got a huge amount of skilled labor in country. So we've got 4 of the top 10 largest gold producers there, including Newmont, Goldfields, Anglo Gold, and Zijin. So with that, you've got obviously very good pool of of mining experts to then help us with our project going forward. So those are a few of the real advantages that we've got, is obviously very skilled labor in country, a government that wants to see mines being built, and then also a very well endowed country in terms of the mineralization.
Okay. To summarize everything, next big catalysts are results out of the very large drill program, and next milestone, PFS, in the mid of the year.
Correct. So in June of this year, we'll put out the PFS. We think that's going to be a major catalyst for the company. If you go back and look at when we released our PEA, we had very strong buying on the back of that and a significant re-rate in the stock. I think us putting out the PFS and the de-risking that comes with that, and the higher multiple that the market will ultimately pay for a PFS stage project, we see that as a major catalyst for the company in June of this year. But we're also aggressively drilling. So we could wake up tomorrow and find out that we've hit 20 grams over 10 meters or 10 grams over 20 meters. And that can then add incremental value above and beyond that fundamental re-rate that we're expecting to come with the PFS. So when we talk about optionality, that's what we're talking about, is a true fundamental re-rate opportunity for shareholders through that de-risking from PEA to PFS. But then beyond that, district scale, aggressive drilling that can create additional value.
Okay, Luke, thank you very much for this insight into Newcore Gold. We keep all fingers crossed for 10 meters of 20 grams, hopefully. And all the best for 2026. And I'm looking really forward to do an update interview soon with you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have lots of results this year. So looking forward to talking to you about those results over the next number of months. And then obviously in June, it'll be great to get on with you and talk about the results from our PFS.
For sure. Thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Luke Alexander, the president and CEO of Newcore Gold. You heard it. They have a major, large drill program here with a lot of results to come. And the next big milestone is the pre-feasibility study in June of this year. I would say have a look on Newcore Gold, and bye-bye from Toronto.